My husband and I had been together for 9 years and married for 2 when we decided we were ready to have a baby. We tried for 9 long months before we got pregnant. It was a very wanted baby and a very good pregnancy. When I was 32 weeks pregnant, I started cramping and bleeding. I went into denial and didn't tell anyone straight away. This would be the first of many guilt-inducing regrets that were to come. I was then told the baby was too young to be cared for on the Sunshine Coast, and I would have to be transferred via ambulance to Brisbane. Despite their best efforts to stop my labour, my son was born the next day, weighing 4 pounds. He could breathe on his own, but was taken straight away to the neonatal intensive care unit. I didn't see him for about 5 hours, and I didn't hold him for 24. Not having my baby with me made me invisible to the nurses. I was put into a room with 3 other women who all had their newborns with them. I felt so lost and confused and sore and shocked, like a part of me had just been ripped out with the baby. I couldn't believe this had just happened to me. This was not what I had imagined was going to happen. Already, things were starting to fall apart. He screamed from morning till night. I knew he had reflux, but kept being told he was overfeeding to make up for his prematurity. No one would listen to me. He was finally diagnosed with reflux and started medication when he was 8 months old. He would never let me put him down, and he screamed in pain if he was ever lying flat. I often sat on the couch for hours on end just holding him upright and wishing the day to be over. He only slept when he was in my arms. With every day that passed, my resentment of him intensified. My baby did not act like any of the textbooks. I thought, being a nurse, I would know what to do with a baby. Not this one. As he got older, cleaning became a priority. I would clean the house every chance I had, even when the baby was having one of his rare short sleeps and everyone told me I should sleep too. I would make sure I was always showered and dressed well every day, even if I wasn't going out. My baby was always immaculately dressed. I thought if we looked good to the outside world, people wouldn't know how bad things really were. People said I was amazing. Where did I find the time? How did I do it? Meanwhile, my baby still screamed all day and woke nearly hourly overnight. I had to go back to work when he was 6 months old, but continued to breastfeed and express milk for him so no one would judge me, even though he refused to drink from a bottle anyway and would often go the whole day without drinking. I felt so guilty about putting him in childcare and so guilty about enjoying being away from him. Often after work, I would just sit in the car or go for a drive, not wanting to go home. And then I would tell my husband that I'd had to work overtime. What was wrong with me? What mother doesn't rush home to her baby? I was so sleep deprived, I started to fantasize about driving the car into a pole or off the side of the mountain that we lived on. I'd pick the spot and drove past it most days. A coma would be great. Oh, think of the sleep. But death would be okay too. My only way to deal with it was to up the ante on my cleaning, cooking, exercising, anything that I could do to get away from him. I'd be scrubbing the benches while he screamed for me at my feet. I didn't just shower, I had to clean the shower. I would make a cake or a slice or biscuits every day to the soundtrack of his screaming, usually only to end up in the bin anyway. I didn't actually want to eat them, it was just in case someone came to my house. Oh, I'd look so organised and so in control, the perfect housewife. My daily walking turned into running. Again with him screaming in the pram, but at least I could turn up the music and drown him out for a while. Suddenly once a day wasn't enough. Twice was a minimum. And any movement in between had to be vigorous. I didn't enjoy it, but I felt like I deserved to suffer. Plus, putting so much energy into running left little room for all the noise in my head. Everything had to match, from my underwear to his socks to the plate and fork he ate off. I'd spend forever hanging out the washing, diligently matching it all on the line. I knew that what I was doing wasn't normal. I felt like I'd gone completely crazy. I told myself I was weird and stupid, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't stop. If I tried to stop one weird behaviour, one of the others would just get worse. I just couldn't. Seeing the psychologist has been so helpful because that is the only place I feel safe to say what I'm actually feeling. Everything outside of that office is mostly an act or a lie. I expected to get better straight away and felt like a failure again when my mood stayed low, and I still felt like crap a lot of the time. When I've seen stories about PND, they always seem to end happily when the diagnosis is made and help is sought. 2 years later, and I put pressure on myself to feel normal, happy, cured every day, but some days are just as hard as those way back at the beginning. I still felt like a weight was off my shoulders just for talking about it to someone. I've also had the opportunity to meet other women who've had PND, and although I still haven't been able to talk about it to them, listening to their stories has helped me immensely. I didn't judge them, so why was I so sure that everyone was judging me? To say I'm struggling at the moment would be an understatement. What's new, you're thinking? I'm pretty sure I can read your mind. My doctors and nurses say that I'm so ravaged by this disease at the moment that my take on reality is way off and not even in the same ballpark as everyone else. I can feel my issues intensifying every day as it gets more and more on top of me. There's just nowhere to hide here, and so I can't even feel myself, let alone the doctors and nurses. I am insanely obsessed with the walking and will stop for nothing. I'm being marched back to the ward doing the walk of shame many times during the day and night. I'm a grown woman. I'm being treated like a child. I've been using my nasogastric pump as a weight. I'm insane. Can you believe I'm coming to my 5th week here at the asylum? I'm now in that unfortunate position where I prefer to stay at the hospital than go out in public because all I do is compare myself to every other woman, especially ones with children, and I'm really self-conscious that people can tell I've come from the madhouse or something. You'll be pleased to know that I've finally found some group therapies to attend where I'm not completely alienated from every other attendee. I have to go now as it's time to put the bloody tube in. When it's in, it gets connected to the feed, and then you carry it around on a little metal stand that is often referred to as a handbag. Well, it's the ugliest handbag I've ever seen. So I've just finished making a Louis Vuitton label to stick on mine. I can see my mother's eyes rolling from here. The day I was admitted to a mental health facility as a patient in the eating disorder program was the day I hit rock bottom. My life had been on one great big downward spiral since the day my son was born 3 years earlier. January 20, 2010. The day I got everything I'd ever dreamed of and lost everything I'd ever known all at the same time. Long story short, postnatal depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, relationship breakdowns, an extreme guilt complex, and a hearty dose of perfectionism brought me here, to the small private hospital where every patient has their own sad story. I've started to feel like a real person again. I've started to remember what I was missing by not being in the real world. I've started to look forward to things that I've been without the last few months. My husband, my son, my house, my bed. Yes, it's definitely time to go home. I was discharged home after 4 months of confinement, or imprisonment as it felt. Home life was surreal compared to life in the madhouse. I don't want to be locked up again. I don't want to be away from my family, my friends, my life. I don't want to die. I do want to live a happy, productive life. I want to be a good mother, a good wife, a good friend and employee. I want to have more children and I want to be free of this disease. Can I do it? only time will tell. I've waited 5.5 years to say this. I'm happy. I'm happy and content and relaxed and in control of my own chaos. My house is a mess and I weigh so much more than I want to, and I have no idea what's going to happen next, but I am happy. You said it was possible and I didn't believe you, but you were right. I am thankful every day now, with every little interaction that I have with my children, with every smile, when I hear them laugh and when I sit down with John at the end of the day. After everything that's happened and after all that I put him through, my son loves me with an intensity that is at times overwhelming. I'm so sorry you had to meet the other me. And so, I would like to introduce my new self. I am Genevieve.